Ja. Dobro večer svima.
Dobro večer svima. Ovdje Ivana i
Ovdje je Maki. That looks like we're gonna be like fortune tellers, but we're not.
No, it doesn't. This is supposed to be a topic. Horror stories are like kind of like myths.
Scary stories, legends.
Yeah.
From Serbia.
From Serbia. I do have to say I don't know many of them, so I'm really curious to see what we're gonna learn today.
Yeah. I don't know some of them by heart. I just found them on the internet, hoping that you would know the details. Let's see.
Ooh. Before we move on, people are liking our YouTube where they can actually see us. So
yeah,
it's actually boosting our views and people are like really excited. I mean, it actually makes sense because me as a viewer, I'm also really excited to not only hear, but like watch a podcast. That's what I'm used to. I'm a typical YouTuber or YouTube user.
I know.
So yeah, I'm really happy that you like it. So I hope this is gonna make it even better.
Yeah, thank you all for all the followers and all the supporters. I see that many more are coming to support us, and we are super grateful about this.
Yeah, real happy.
Okay, so why did we choose this? First of all, why did we want to cover legends and mysteries from Serbia?
I think initially we were thinking of having like a Halloween episode, but then the Halloween was gone and we were really busy. Guys, we didn't have an episode last week, so yeah, quite busy these weeks. I think it's going to be months. So that was our initial thought, but you also heard a lot of, or like some stories about Serbia. So yeah, it was why not? It's, I think, culturally, it's also really cool to know.
I also went to a piazza, a market, and I realized there are so many flowers, and I asked, and the seller said it's the Day of Deaths. That people. So that's why I was like, okay, this is something that I don't know. Maybe our followers also don't know. Let's talk about this. Okay. First of all, legends. Let's start with legends. Did you grow up listening to legends or reading legends or hearing stories? Like,
I have to be honest, I haven't really that much. I think a lot of the legends or so on were mostly like about Marko Kraljević, of course, you know. And there were some kids kind of stories where actually I read some of them, like where you should get some sort of message from it. And some of them are quite, I mean, for the kid, I mean, it's quite brutal and quite scary. When we were listening to them, they did not sound like that much. But now when I'm reading, I'm like, wow, this is a horrible story. Like animals eating people, and so like it's just crazy. So, but I do have to say, I'm really excited for this episode because I don't know a lot. I haven't heard a lot of horror stories. Maybe my parents were trying to protect me. So yeah, scary stories or whatever.
Yeah, as we already mentioned, who is this Marko?
Marko Kraljević. I would think we talked about him in one episode, didn't we?
I'm not sure.
I think we did. It was Serbian literature. Yes.
Yeah, literature. Definitely.
And there was a lot of stories about him, and he's kind of seen as the
hero.
Yes, hero of Serbia, even though he was Muslim, actually, if you think about it. Yeah, he was.
Know that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of stories about him and his heroic deeds towards Serbian people during the Ottoman Empire.
Sounds interesting. So the most famous one is Marko and the Eagle, I guess, right?
Ooh, I don't know that one. What is it about?
I'm not sure. I read it, but I cannot retell it. So I will leave the link of that. It's a long story, so it's hard to remember the details.
We can add also the links in the on Patreon, right? I think that will be a really good opportunity for them to use the links. A bit more links than, yeah.
Okay, who are the other heroes?
Oh, I see you wrote down some of the things. This is, so if you guys don't know much about Serbia, like when Serbia started being, I think officially it still wasn't a country, if I'm not mistaken, but it started being governed by certain people, and one of them was Stefan Nemanja. So it's the whole Nemanjići, the whole family. So I think, yeah, we even like the new statue in front of in Belgrade, in front of the main train station. Yeah, Stefan Nemanja, exactly.
The huge guy, yes.
Yeah, the huge guy, actually. Yeah,
the biggest statue there, I guess.
Yeah. And also his son is quite popular. Okay, it's such a weird word to say. Quite famous, respected as well. Sveti Sava, because he was the how do you say? He was important for the education in Serbia, because he was the one who was spreading basically the education in Serbia. He was yeah, how do you call it? It's not a monk, but yeah, is it a monk? I don't know, but yeah, but he's also responsible for some monasteries and so on. And this is exactly where the education was happening, right? In monasteries, mostly in churches and so on at that time.
Yeah. And that this beautiful church now, San Sava in Belgrade, is also a landmark.
Yes, exactly, Sveti Sava. Oh, yeah. And just for everyone to know, because monasteries are such and churches are such how do you call it? Like, they're preserving our history in them. They're really big part of our culture, and I think they can even do tours where you can go through Serbia and visit monasteries and so on. So that's a maybe an interesting thing to do. Very, very informative. Yeah. Sveti Sava.
And you wrote down some others.
Did I? You wrote down.
Are they mine? Okay.
I
wrote so many.
Car Dušan, again, Nemanjić, right?
His young
so
son.
Yeah. There's also like I remember reading and learning about them in school, but yeah, there's Uroš as well. I think it was called Nejaki. Yeah.
Tsar Lazar is also famous here because we have a neighborhood, Lazarica.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's this tower there. So it's a historic, nice place in Kruševac. The Lazarica neighborhood, I mean.
Okay. As you said, the royal prince Kraljević Marko, King Vukašin. Yeah. There's we are very proud people. So we like to, kind of give ode to certain people, but also that's why also we have a lot of like saints and celebrate them still. Yeah.
Okay. You have these real heroes, and you also have, I'm not sure real or unreal, kind of bad guys. Right? Are they bad guys or good guys, vampires?
I think if you look at today's series and movies, they're the good guys,
They're heroes, yeah.
Yeah, it was so the reason why we talk about vampires is because it's the only Serbian word that's been used globally. So I think I think even paprika is not a Serbian word. I think it's from some other language. And why is that? Because everyone knows about Dracula, right? But this is like a different thing, and it originated from Transylvania. But vampire, apparently, supposedly, let's say it originated from Serbia, because there were some stories about certain people that were acting a bit weirdly and sucking blood and sleeping the whole day and stuff like that. So this is where the vampire comes from. And actually there's lots of literature about that. Actually, I do have to say, no one really talked to me about this, but I did, when I was younger, I did read about it, because you're younger, you like curious. Everything spooky and like magic and like vampires and so on. So yeah,
that's very interesting. When I was growing up, I had never, I guess, had a vampire story, like local vampire story. So that feels cool.
You know what's the worst thing? That it's not really like fun stories. These stories are not like fun, like legitimate. It the way they are how do you say, told is as is like a documentary in a way. So it's not really like a thing you tell other people or like kids or so on, but it's like you're not really quite sure what happened. So it's like this true story that you don't really like want to mess with. So I think the first, the first official vampire that we had in our documents, I also think it was also in Austrian documents. He was there. They were like talking about a vampire, like blood sucking person. Petar Blagojevic.
Okay, Petar Blagojevic. So that's a quite Serbian name.
Quite Serbian. 17. I found that he lived around 1720s or something like that. I think the story went out in 1725, something like that. And he was from a village called, I'm going to butcher the way how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's Kisiljevo or Kisiljevo. I would say Kisiljevo, but I'm probably wrong. I don't know.
Okay, where is that? Like in current Serbia, or?
Yeah, it's in current Serbia. Oh, I actually Googled where it was because I didn't really know. I think this one is, I think all of the stories are basically like mid-central Serbia.
Ooh.
For some reason. I don't know. So the story was that so that they opened, so there was a talk about Petar Blagojevic, that he still, I don't remember what the talk was that, well, he died and then some people just started dying, and then they basically said, oh, it's him. I think it was a talk was that he got infected somewhere in Greece or something like that. And then they opened his grave and then they found that his body was intact and there was supposedly blood on his lips. Okay. So they did the very typical thing, which is take a stake, run it through his heart, and also they burned him.
Okay.
And I think the Austrian officials were there because they needed to make sure that it was done.
Okay. So the Austrians were more afraid. They wanted to control what's coming.
Yeah. They're like, do it, finish with it. Yeah.
Okay. So he was like a religious guy, right? His his position was like a resnik, right?
Oh, you see, I didn't know what you meant by this. No, I didn't read that. I didn't see that. What did you read?
So resnik is I don't know, in Serbian Orthodox religion, kind of a title.
Man, I don't know what that means.
I thought you would know. That's why I didn't write them.
Resnik. I'm really bad at this. Sorry, guys. Just not the horror things. Yeah.
So he was the first vampire, Petar.
Yeah, and then he might not be the most known one, but the second one was one of the most known ones, which was, okay, I have a fly here, which was Sava Savanovic.
Yeah, female vampire.
Is it a female one? The whole
Isn't
time? I know. I think this is a guy, Sava.
Sava. Okay, I heard Sarah. There is a name. Wait a minute. Okay, we will come to that. I thought that one is a female.
Sarah. No, I was like, what? Sava. Okay. I think it's a guy's name.
Because of most beautiful vampire. I thought it's a female. Sorry.
Okay. Oh yeah. So he was from Zarozje, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that one is near Bajina Bašta, so near Tara. Again, central Serbia, basically. I mean, central in the sense that it's not north, it's not south, it's in the middle. And he was also mentioned in the story of Milovan Glišić. I think that's one of the reasons why he's the most famous. One of the most famous ones. And so let me just read what I wrote down.
Before we continue with the show, here's a quick reminder. This podcast is free for everyone and supported by listeners like you. We hope that this podcast is useful and convenient to you. This is a labor of love for both of us. To help us continue creating useful content for everyone, we will appreciate your help. If you have the means, you can support us in different ways. You may just go to buymeacoffee.com/Mozdekafa podcast and send us some cups of coffee. You may also become a member of our show on patreon.com/mozdakafa podcast and get extra benefits like bonus content, full transcripts of the show in Serbian, or even join us on the show. We rely on your support to help everyone more in learning Serbian language and culture. Thanks for joining us today, and now let's get back to our episode.
Oh God. You also added some notes. You wrote taking a black horse to cemetery.
No,
Cemetery.
It's not about Sava Savanovic, so we will come to that. It's about vampire culture.
Okay. But I think they did something similar, that they had to like bring a horse, and I think they had this whole ceremony, the same thing all over again. But he was one of the most popular ones. But yeah, nothing. They don't really like these. That's why it's not really like a story. They don't really go in depth about what happened, but they kind of just mention it. There were like weird occurrences happening and people dying, and therefore they need to like open it up and then just stab them.
Yeah, while looking at those stories, I realized this is also done by Montenegrins. Yeah, when they are suspicious of the existence of a vampire, they take a black horse to the cemetery, and then they find the vampire, I guess, during the day. They do that.
Yeah, because they're sleeping during the day, right?
But the horses feel them. So that's fine, especially black horses, according to the belief.
Yeah. Well, I read something about horses, not about black horses, but I'm guessing that there is some sort of superstition with like black cats, black horses, black darkness.
Another tradition is garlic necklaces. So if people want to protect themselves, they make necklaces out of garlics.
Thank God we love garlic in Serbia. Thank God. So we have lots of.
That's how you survive as a nation, maybe.
I mean, actually, if you think about it, that's really like a really good strategy, just to keep like having garlic and eating garlic, because it's a good, what is it, antibiotic, right? Is that how it's called? Yeah.
Antiseptic as well.
There you go. So garlic does wonders. Hey, it fights the vampire plus also the cold and the diseases. So no wonder it's been on a pedestal.
Okay. So do you know the time for Sava Savanovic? Later than
it was later. Yeah, of course it was later because he was more famous, but he supposedly is not the first one. I'm not quite sure if it. I think it's the late 19th century or beginning of the 20th century, something like that. I think I'm not quite. I can't remember.
I see. I'm going to also check the pictures, why he is called the most beautiful vampire.
That was surprising. I've never heard that. Was he beautiful? Are you checking now?
No, not now.
Okay, I wanted to check it.
I will prepare post with that if I really find him handsome.
Well, guys, we want your spooky stories. If you know more spooky stories in Serbia, about Serbia, in Serbia, we want to know.
I read some stories about these legends and also like horror stories. And there's one, he whom God helps, no one can harm. Have you ever heard of this story?
No.
Maybe.
No.
Okay, so there are it has 3 parts. It's a very long story. In each part there is a different, action, different drama. And in one, I am not sure which one, there's a fight with vampires. So he has to kill the vampires, the youngest good brother, to prove that he deserves to marry the queen, like the princess.
It's so typical. Like I feel like all of these stories, like there's always 3 brothers, there's always the youngest one who's the most humble one, and then he needs to kill someone to get the girl, like it's so weird.
And the girl loves him too, so he just wants to prove that their love is real and stuff. So that's a fun to read story.
That actually, now that you mentioned that, maybe we should go to the legends first, because you wrote something about the pavilion, neither in the sky nor on the earth.
Yeah. I cannot retell that story again. It's a very long one, but do you know that in short?
Yes, and I'm not going to retell it either because I think this, how can I say, it's not that long, but it's very eventful, and you really need there's a lot of information. But basically, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of betrayal. There's the brothers, three brothers again, of course, and it's just weird. Like some of these stories, like morals, I just can't. But it's about as far as I know, it's about a dragon that kidnaps a girl. Actually, a dragon has been kidnapping girls and eating them, and every week I think or so one has to die from a village, and it's just this whole thing. But this is, and there should be some sort of message in there.
I don't know what message.
I don't know what it was. Actually, I'm pretty sure there is some good message, but not when I was reading it, I remember I was just shocked. So
let's hope that some hero realizes this unfair situation and then kills the dragon, maybe.
We will link, by the way, these stories in Serbian. I know I have some links in Serbian, so you can actually read it, and then you can tell us what you think about them.
Yeah, what do you think the message is in this story?
Yeah.
And did you hear about Pepeluga?
I know there's a different story from the Disney one, right? But man, I can't remember now how it was.
It is Cinderella, right?
Yeah, it is Cinderella, but it's a different version than what we have in Disney, right?
I'm not sure. I thought it's the kind of the same.
I think there was no happy ending or something like that.
Maybe the ending is different. So it's about the beautiful girl who lost her parents and stepmother, ugly half sisters, always ugly half sisters.
It's always ugly. The bad people are always ugly. Yeah. Right. Pepeluga. Pepeluga derives from pepel, which is ashes.
Ah, okay.
Because she's always dirty, like ashy, right? Because she's cleaning, and there's
and then somehow she goes to a party, prince falls in love with her. I guess it's the same, but it's going to be interesting for Serbian learners to read this story because they already know the basics of this story. So it's going to be easy to read and unfollow it, maybe.
Always go, whenever you're reading something in a new language, always go from something that you already have read, or at least know the plot, and then it's going to be much easier to follow it and predict.
Definitely. And read that story not only once but a couple of times so that you remember the verbs better.
By the way, just not to forget, vampires, vampiri, that's how we say vampiri, plural, singular, vampir.
Yeah, that's true. And blood is
krv.
Krv, yes.
Yeah, it's this weird three consonants. Krv.
Plural krvi. You don't pluralize it, maybe.
Bilo je puno krvi. Yeah, krvi. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Good, Mikey. Good. Yeah.
And the final part is witches, of course.
I love that one because when I was a teenager, I used to watch Charmed. Do you remember? Oh, I was so into it, and I think I was always drawn to kind of not really witchcraft, but magic more. And now when I think about it, I think there's certain fantasy world that I loved about it, of course, as a kid. But I think one of the reasons that I still love it now is because I think there were different women that were different types of witches, so to speak, right? And what I was always interested in is the people that actually knew all about herbs, all about how to use which ingredients for what. And this to me, I think, was actually an art, or actually, it's kind of like being doctors, right?
And science. They need to the chemicals, right? What goes together with what, and what happens later,
or what helps you for this specific thing, that specific thing. And a witch is veštica.
Veštica is singular.
Veštice
is plural. Okay.
For a guy, you can say a warlock. I think witch, warlock. I think that's how we say warlock. Is it?
Warlock, yes. Yeah.
It's a veštac.
Veshtats.
And the plural is
Veshtatsi.
No, veshti. I'm not quite sure actually, because I don't think anyone really
has heard of a
like many guy. Yeah. But yeah, Veshtitse, again, I think it's especially because we derive from like a pagan kind of culture before the Orthodox religion, right? There are some scary stories. I haven't really read many. There are several ones that are quite famous, but witches were kind of famous for like eating so vampires are sucking the blood. But witches are eating the organs, right? So eating the heart or the liver. And for some reason, it's usually like directed to kids because kids are scared of them, right? So because no one's really scared of witches, maybe old people. Adults are scared of vampires, kids are scared of witches. Kind of like this thing.
And when they eat, they turn into an animal, right? This bird maiden is one of them.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Tell me.
Didn't? There's a story, and the book is also on Amazon. So bird maidens, they could only access their animal forms via a token. If this token was destroyed, the bird maiden would be stuck in her humanoid or bird form.
Ooh.
So they could transform into different types of birds depending on their experience. And they are like shape changers, and to able to change their shape, they needed to eat something, I guess. Bullhawks, vultures, giant eagles. They could be these superheroes at the end.
Okay.
They're the good girls. Heroines.
They're good girls. The one that I heard about, not specifically, again, no one really told me the story, but I remember some people just mentioned the name. My mom, for example, I think she knew about this. Baba Yaga. Baba is grandma, old lady. Yaga is the name of the old lady. Supposedly, this is a witch woman, the woman demon.
Demon, okay.
Demon, yeah.
Demon in the shape of a woman, okay.
Yeah, so basically like a bad, mean woman. And it's an old lady, and she eats everyone, not only kids, but so
she prefers kids.
Yeah, so very, very not exclusive, it's just like it eats everything. And I think the specific thing about her was that her fence was made out of like bones. So that was the story. So human bones. So there's our specifics also, like the doorknob is like, the gate knob, whatever, was out of this type of the bone, or like, or the teeth or something, or like they have this so specific. So that was it. And then also the story was that she used to bake kids. So for animals, oh my gosh, for adults, she would like eat the organs, right? And for kids, she would take them and put them in the oven and then like bake them inside.
That's so sad for like little kids to hear this.
I know, how scary is it? I mean, it's just like such a scary story. Thank God I haven't heard it till now. Yes.
I hope no kid hears that story before they are like 15.
Yeah, I hope so. Also, I remember my mom used to tell me this story. She's from Bosnia, so she had like a different thing. And oh my God, now I see every little thing and I'm like, oh my God. I get so scared. I don't like to watch horror movies. This is the reason. So she said that I don't really remember what the name of this old lady is. Again, it's some mean old lady. And supposedly they would, in order to keep the kids at home, they would say that if you're not home, or if you're being like if you're misbehaving, right? Then she will, like, old grandma will come and like knock on your, not knock, but like tap your window with the fingers, and some, like, I think it was like a dead old lady, something like that. It was just something so creepy. I was like, I am like, who the hell would tell this story to kids? But I guess we would. Crazy.
Yeah. In the old times, like, I guess that was more usual.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Tough enough. I would not survive in the old times. I'm so easily scared that, yeah.
Okay. So one more question about after all these horror stories.
Yeah.
Plaşımse is I'm afraid, right?
Plaşımse.
Plaşımse.
Or you can say boimse.
Boimse.
Yes, as well. Yeah. I'm
Oh.
scared. Yeah.
Okay.
It's both are, I think, interchangeable. Plaszymse mraka. Oh, koga čega? Genitive.
Mraka is?
Dark. The dark.
Plaşımse mraka.
Mraka. Plaszymse
How would you
veštice.
I was going to ask you. Plaşımse veštice. Plaşımse vampire.
Oh, that one is tricky because it's a masculine, right? Plaszymse vampira.
Vampira. Yeah. Okay. Good. Hvala puno.
Nema na čemu. I hope I made your day scary or not scary.
I hope you're listening to this at night.
Yes. And we really want your feedback because we don't have a lot of time to actually specifically talk about some stories. We could potentially do an episode like that. If you are interested, then we would select a short story, maybe read it out in Serbian. Actually, that would be a good thing to read it out in Serbian.
We can also ask a quiz, like in a quiz or in a a poll,
or
see.
Exactly, and see what is the most popular thing that they would like to hear. Yeah.
Always feel free to email us, write us on Instagram, or comment on YouTube on whatever topic you want us to cover.
Yeah, we will get back to you as soon as we can. And we're quite busy too. This is our side gig, but we really are really happy that you are following, that you are interested, and we really do want your feedback. So yeah. Okay.
To je to.
To je to.
Hvala puno.
Hvala, prijatno.